Well, hey everybody, this is Chris DiFurio with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another edition of Shift Break. Today's episode is brought to you by La Marzocco, who's been making espresso machines by hand in Florence since 1927. That's nearly 100 years of serving the specialty coffee retail community with some of the most innovative and beautiful and dependable espresso machines out there. Amongst many espresso machines that La Marzocco makes to suit your needs is the Linea PB, which is named in recognition of Piero Bambi, and is one of the machines that I recommend most often to my clients because it is just a workhorse, very dependable. The PB features simplified lines, a lower profile. It's equipped with exclusive user-friendly interface software that gives the barista direct functional control over boiler temperature, brewing volume, hot water tap dose, auto backflush, as well as other options. I've done a lot of work myself on this machine and have always enjoyed the consistency and dependability of it. But you need to go check this out for yourself over at lamarzocousa.com and reach out to one of their salespeople, info@lamarzocousa.com. When you email them, they'll help you walk through the options and get the right machine for your cafe. I, again, think that if you're looking for amazing quality, dependability for the heart of your coffee shop, you need to be looking at La Marzocco over at lamarzocousa.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Espressly, who creates custom-branded mobile apps for coffee shops. It's the perfect balance of convenience and customizability that allows the customer to only look at your brand when they're looking for coffee in a convenient ordering format. And with Espressly, it's a no-risk model because there's no setup or development fees. And the integration they have with Square also includes a loyalty program for each of your shops. Your guests get to earn and redeem points in either the mobile app or in person. Espressly does not charge a separate fee for having loyalty on in the app. And it's all fully customizable in Square for how points are earned and redeemed. This is a wonderful option, and it's one of many reasons why I think you need to be looking to use Espressly when you're thinking about mobile apps for your coffee shop. In order to sign up, go check them out over at espressly.co. That's espressly.co. Okay, everyone. Well, today we're going to be talking about a subject that I find myself mentioning often to my clients during our coaching calls. And in the coaching calls that I do in these one-on-one sessions, what we end up talking about a lot is how to lead managers. And specifically, what that boils down to often is what is a manager doing with their time and how involved should you get in managing their time. Now, when you're delegating something to a manager, you are doing it because I hope at this point you have selected somebody who has proven themselves to have the kind of work ethic, values, character, and dependability that a leader is going to have in your coffee shop. And you're not just putting a person in a position of leadership to delegate leadership to free yourself up, but it's the wrong choice. So let's just assume that you have this really great person to be a manager and they're doing a great job. The thing is that you're still not supposed to just let go of the reins completely. You're still supposed to be caring for this person. One of our episodes is called How to Manage Managers, or the Basics of Managing Managers. And if you go in the show notes, I would encourage you to listen to that episode after this one. But one of the factors that has to be thought of is, are you giving them the tools to do their job? And the main tool for a manager often is time. Not only time, but communication about what expectation you have of the use of their time outside of bar hours or even during bar hours. So when we're talking about schedules, I often recommend people to have their managers plan their weeks in advance. And if you're not doing this yourself, it's really hard to get the manager to do something you're not doing. So I would encourage you, before you start telling somebody what to do, start doing it yourself in your own way, if you know how it relates to your job. Even if you're the owner and you don't have the shop relying on you 100% or even 50%, you should at least be thinking about, what does my week look like? How can I best show up? What are the priorities? Where is my presence needed, my input, and everything else? So your managers need that kind of structure as well. And that helps with accountability. And that's the word that's usually used when people ask me the question. They're like, how do I keep my managers accountable? Well, it starts with keeping ourselves accountable for giving the managers the tools they need to do the job. Back to what I said, that means communicating expectation, prioritization of tasks, and then, having them as part of their job put together a schedule that shows what they're working on that week and how they're showing up on the bar, as well as for projects that they have to do that are either commissioned by you or suggested by them that you've approved of. It could be a combination of the two things. That could be something like revamping the SOPs in the cafe. You want them to do that, and they say, yes, okay, here's my schedule. Here are the hours I'm going to be in the office or in the cafe working on these things. That rules out so many different question marks that come up, like, I don't know when they're working on these things, et cetera, et cetera. And what are they doing with their time? And they're on salary sometimes. And so it feels like, are we paying too much money for a person that we don't even know what they're doing? And to be honest with you, if there isn't really any direction given to a manager, one of the first things that a manager is going to do is the first thing that anyone, including yourself, will do. And that is fight fires, walk into the cafe without much of a plan, and just kind of, allow the business to say, what do you need? Let me respond to that. Let me run around. So you're not really delegating and then moving the business forward. What you're doing is you're delegating and passing on the dysfunction. Okay, so that idea of having administrative time to actually do things outside of when they have their bar hours, which I feel most managers should have some bar hours, like about 20 or so hours, depending on your business. I don't want to give you an exact number because you could have a large business, you could have a small business, and it varies. But they need to be part of the systems that they are holding people accountable for living within, or else there's not going to be much empathy. It's just going to be leadership by dictate, right? So they need to have some skin in the game, and it can't just all be academic, but it can't all be on the bar either, because they do need to be able to have one-on-ones with the staff. They do need to be able to sit down and focus on the schedule, on maybe you have them doing things like higher tasks, like bargaining with vendors for better prices on milk and cups and stuff. That would be more of a high-level management thing, usually more of a GM type of responsibility. But depending on what you've got in the job description of a cafe manager, you have to give them the space to be able to do that. What I do not like is when people say, well, they're going to do that when it's slow on bar. So I'm going to schedule them as a barista. I'm going to have them work with so-and-so. And they're going to be on the back bar with their laptop, typing away. And then, oh, that's right, there's a line, I got to go help. And then really the barista they're working with feels like they're the only one working, And even if the barista collects all the tips, it still feels like it's just kind of a halted and awkward shift. And the manager in that situation ends up being pitied by the baristas. The position of manager should be structured in such a way that it's actually attractive to baristas to want that position. But for many managers, because of the mismanagement of owners, the role has become something that people feel is more of a punishment than a step up in the organization. And it's like when the management position opens up, they're like, I saw what my manager was like and the crazed look in their eyes, and I do not want that. And so when somebody moves on, we're just like, well, why doesn't anyone want to take on this responsibility? And it's because we've made responsibility look so bad because we are not structuring it. So when it comes to this idea of giving structure to management, you need to give them admin hours, and those admin hours need to be filled, again, with things that you both agree are priorities to work on, and you can follow up with them in the progress of those projects. If it's a regular thing like scheduling every week at the same time, we do the schedule this way, we have an SOP for that, and at that time, that's where you're going to find your manager. But if it's a project like let's redo the training manual, you should know when they're going to be working on it that week. And the way this happens, again, is that you have your manager write out their schedule before the week happens. And this gives you an opportunity not only to see what they're spending their time doing, but also you as their boss. You're still their boss. It's okay. Like Bruce Duggan says, it's okay to be the boss. You might reprioritize things for them because you might have information about a timeline that's moved up for a project that they didn't know about. And in your weekly meeting with your manager, you can go over that kind of stuff. And that's where I would suggest you have the manager present their schedule for the week. And we all know what we're working on. And they know that you know. And they have time to focus, to have dedicated admin hours versus just kind of finding time on the bar where they can and fighting for it, or worse, bringing the work home with them and working from home. A lot of managers do this because they feel not even so much a sense of responsibility toward the owner, but more like they feel the team needs them to do this and the business needs them to do this. And so by creating these clear expectations and structures around the role of management, we not only create more of an opportunity for success for the person occupying the position, but we make it a better position for people to actually want to occupy in the future. And in the end, this kind of management of managers helps everybody, and it just doesn't pass dysfunction on through delegation. It moves the entire business forward. And so, like I said, take some time to listen to the episode, The Basics of Managing Managers. There's a couple more episodes I'll link to that I think you'll find interesting in the show notes. And that is going to be it for today's episode. I hope it was helpful, and I really encourage you to subscribe to the show. And if you think about it and you just have a minute or two to leave a 5-star rating or review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify or something like that, it would really mean the world to me. Thank you, everybody, so much. And as always, I hope that this episode has truly given you keys to the shop.